personality I'm talking to is beyond movies, though she's an actress. And I used to enjoy her when I was a very young person. With her hairdo, starting a very distinct hairdo. So yeah, we talk movies, but then we consider the personality I'm talking to who's all embracing when it comes to, being a woman. So I'll say welcome to Filmtalk from Filmlab Nigeria. It's a weird entertainment production, and my name is F.F. Yongakpan. I'm the project coordinator, and I'm presenting this program. So our Filmtalk guest today, as you have known, is a veteran actress, broadcaster, journalist, cosmetologist, counselor and life coach, social commentator, educationist, entrepreneur, advertising, and publications consultant. Though she's a native of Ojo local government area in Lagos, she's also the Awori princess of the Ashade dynasty in Oba, Ikeja, Lagos. She was born and suckled in a Butimeta, that's serene, middle class community, somewhere very close to the lagoon. Sometimes when you meet such people, they are calm but full of energy. So, people born around. So she was educated at Mount Carmel Convent School and proceeded to Methodist Girls High School here in Lagos. Those prepared her for higher, education in London, United Kingdom. And this woman that I'm talking about has earned so many honors. She's been awarded Officer of the Order of Niger. She's been awarded Fellow of the Society of Nigerian Theatre Arts, awarded by Arts Department of the 36 Nigerian universities in 36 states. And she, therefore, is a fellow of the University of the Third Age, an international award for that matter. I'm talking about no other person than Dame Taiwo Ajai Lycett, who just turned 81 years this year. Congratulations, ma'am. It's not easy to become 81 years, 4 decades of your life in this turbulent country. So you're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm also having Khadija Primo, who is our assistant. I'm also having Antonia Liu. Please, what do you do for Dame?
I'm a manager.
Oh, you're the manager. Okay.
That's my agent.
We're going to be focusing on what we're talking. This time was supposed to be for Dame alone, but I can see I have 3 women here, and they're going to be chipping in about women. Especially that you're younger than Dame herself, so you're going to be talking about the now generation. I'm so happy that the 2 of you are joining this conversation. It's going to be interesting.
because actually we're just here to listen in on what Dame has to say. So the interview is still about.
Please don't be passive. Please, don't be passive at all, because you represent the younger generation. So I had a quote online. Like I said, we're going to be focusing on self-modeling for females or women for the movie screen, or the movie industry. Sorry, I repeated that. Well, I don't want to go into detail now, but let's just move on. Do people still perceive you the way I quoted you from a publication, that you've been told you have a unique style, you want to dance with your own inner music, and you sing your own tunes, and that as far as you can remember when you were young, perhaps like them or younger than them, you were stubborn. Do people still perceive you that way at this point in time?
I think a lot of people are intimidated by me. It's metamorphosed into intimidation, I suppose. It's not meant to be. It's just because I probably strike them as weird, unorthodox. And I don't know why. I dress like them. I eat the same thing as everybody else. I do the work in the environment. But still, they perceive me as just being different. But then we're all different, actually, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
When God made each and every one of us, it broke the mold. So we can't all be the same. But I don't know why I fascinate people like that. But I've always danced to my own tune, my own music. since I was a child. That got me into plenty trouble, of course. But that's life. I'm beginning to realize that that's life. You're born here, and you have to take your journey the best way you can, and you make mistakes. And I'm beginning to see that it's not so much the mistake you make that's so important. It's how you write yourself, whether you pick yourself up and dust yourself down and carry on going. I think that seems to me to be the important thing. How you see what happens to you. It's not so much what happens to you, but your reaction. That's the fundamentally important thing about life, is what I'm beginning to gather, to learn. And it is also important for you to be your authentic self. It's important for you to see the world your way, but at the same time, respect other people. I do. I respect other people. I learn from other people. I don't necessarily agree with what they're doing, but when I know how they're thinking, that helps. And being an actor has compounded that somewhat, because our duty is to be in other people's shoes. I think acting has taught me that life is not about me. When you realize that life isn't about you, I think you're free to navigate the world. That's why you don't fear anything. That's why you don't conform to the fads and fancies of everybody. That's why you don't follow the herd. I hope that answers your question.
It does a lot. I mean, if there were no Facebook and Twitter and so on and so forth in your days, and you could be so self-assertive, the point is that how did you meet up? How did you try to stand up to social orientation, which I believe was conservative in those days? There was no Facebook. These days, women assert themselves by doing things on Facebook that you be like, wow, this is not like when Ajai Lycett was a young woman. But then you said you have this self-assertion, especially with the fact that you were and always will be an actress. So comparing your time, what were the first book of your time that would have helped you assert yourself so well?
First of all, as I said, the knowledge that you know you are, what shall I say, an empty vessel, so to speak, that should be filled up. I think life happened to me very early in life and made me know that I had to be on my own feet, 2 feet. That I had to watch my own back and my front and my sides and my top and my bottom, so to speak. And that made me determined to find out how to live my life. I know it sounds trite and contrived, but it isn't. What I then did was that if I thoroughly educated myself, I could save myself, build myself up. I could navigate this world fearlessly, confidently. And I started doing that. And I am still doing that. I sort of immersed myself in learning. So I did my GCEs. I first started doing Rapid Results College. You people won't know about those people. If you couldn't go to school, you did distant learning, you would call it nowadays. I started doing that. I studied Latin. I studied everything. I thought I had to know the world. I studied the painters, Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, studied the arts, the fine arts, your Picasso, and saw Picasso is copying our own arts and everything. Developed an awareness of the world and what was going on in the world. However esoteric it was, I was into it, just to find out why people were thinking like that. Poetry, Omar Khayyam, and people met me and were giving me books, so that till today, the people I consider who actually love me are not those who give me jewelry, they're those who gave me books. then I know that person really, truly loves me. And now I'm talking about love that is not sexual at all, in the way that people think love is lust. It isn't lust. It is a awareness that, oh, here's this curious person. I read this book, I think you must read it. I've had people travel to France, got a book and said, you must read this book, and posted it to me. Now, that's what I call real life. This is how I built my life up. I read prodigiously. I found out about everything. I was everything. I learned, for instance, that if you want to live in this world, you have to have control of your mind. I am, as it were, a new age woman.
As at that point, considering the fact that that was a far behind generation compared to now, I agree.
You might think it was a backward generation. Actually, it wasn't.
I'm not using the word backward in the sense. I had a father who was a school teacher, and I read all his Shakespearean books. So that made me read so many books when I was in my elementary 3. So, and I miss reading them now. So when you say you read so much, I will agree with you that despite the fact that communication wasn't as, profuse as it is now, but you made use of what you saw, to enlighten yourself and prepare for the world that you could go into. I would have loved to ask Antonia, I don't know, they're not on camera. Can you come on camera, please, so that I can ask you just one question? Okay, Khadija, you heard them said in those days she read briefly. In fact, she was eating books. So I would want to ask you, as young women today, what's your evaluation of what she said, comparing her in those days and the young woman today? What's your view? Do young women read so much? Do they consume so much knowledge? Or how do they even try to attune themselves and socialize to become great women? Because she was looking forward to becoming a young woman, and she just consumed books and that prepared her. What is your view about women today?
When you were talking about how did she access herself without Twitter and Facebook, I was thinking, I'm happy there was no Twitter and Facebook, because that would even interfere with her sense of self. Okay. But nowadays, because there's a proliferation of those social media, things are thrown at you. You don't have an independence of mind to develop who you are before you start getting bombarded with everything on the social media. So nowadays, most young women tend to want to form themselves along the lines of the things they see on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all those social media. So they don't have the time to sit down to ask themselves who they really are and experience life without those, I don't know how to put it now, without
I will call it pedestrian cultural influences. What them experienced in that time was quality exposure.
Thank you. So when you were asking that question, I was in my mind, I was saying, thank God there was none of that. Because that has made her the woman she is today. I always tell her that I am in awe of her individuality. Yes, let me put it that way. Because it's very hard. Nowadays, people don't have the time to read the books. Because those are not, why waste your time when you can go on Google, you see one or two things, and you are seeing that this person is shaking the bomb, so that's where the money is coming from. So let me quickly go and do that. Let me do some liposuction, let me do some butt lifts. So women of nowadays, unfortunately, we need people like them to keep reminding us that you need to develop yourself outside all these influences. That is in the books, is in the knowledge. She said, like what she said was, she had to get knowledge so that she could transform herself. And that's the only way you can transform yourself. Because if you forget that we women, no matter how advanced, the creation of life is still with us. And we are still the ones that are going to guide that new life. So the future of the world, as per se, in essence, is in our hands. And if we are not filled up, if we are not transformed, if we are not women of quality, how do we put out quality? So I would say the way the present day is there's a lot of noise.
I'm happy you said that. There's a lot of noise. So, Anthony Aliyu, how can today's woman filter out unnecessary information? Because I see young women do things on social media. I'm like, wow, would she do this in real life before me or another male or other people without hiding in her bedroom? Because some of them get that boldness by just hiding in their bedrooms. But then by the time you hide in your bedroom and you put what you do on social media, you are into the war. You pour out yourself into the war. So how can the young woman today escape those noises and embrace them's model, Antonia?
I think it just has to do with the foundation. Yes, just as you said, you were opportune to read so much Shakespearean books at elementary 3 because of your father. It's going to be really difficult if these young women are already guided by all these trends, TikTok, Instagram, living that so-called soft life without actually wanting to put in the work, if they have never been taught to put in the work from the onset. It's going to be a hard thing for you to try them to embrace something that to them basically doesn't exist. What mommy has said so far, it's definitely what most of us went through growing up. You know, our major those that formed us were mainly our parents. You know, education-wise, their major belief then was, what I can give you is education. Do you get? My dad too had to, like, put me through. It was mainly literature, getting to read different books. And whenever he comes home, he will sit me down and ask me questions. I have to tell him, each chapter, I would have written out the answers, explain what I understand or what I understood from what I gathered from each of these chapters. But now, a lot of parents don't even have time. Children go to school, after school, there's after school lesson. And then when they come home, the parents are tired. The children are kept in front of the TV, exposed to social media at such a young age. Then you have some parents that even make their children influencers at such a young age without impacting any foundation. Yes, from the onset. But I really feel it's going to be very difficult.
Well, in my own tradition, there's what is called a fattening room experience for the female, where she's oriented by cultural requirements to prepare herself for marriage. She's fattened, she's fed, she's taught husbandry, So I'm going back to them now. You model yourself so well on quality education, not even formal education, but informal education that you embrace on your own, self-taught, let's put it that way. How did these model you to become that essential black actress on white TV drama character in the British comedy of the 70s? How did all those prepare you?
Just before I answer that, ironically, this modern age, even though we didn't have everything served to us on a silver platter as the young do now, what it caused us to do was to search. And we searched and we found, and there's an amazing reservoir of knowledge, of books, of this, that, and the other around. But you had to search. You have to have the will to search and the discipline to keep with it. Now, the irony is that the social media I'm not talking about technology. Let me put it, technology has provided us now with an entree to all manner of knowledge. Do you realize that at the click on the computer, you cannot learn by yourself? Isn't that so?
Yes.
That's the irony in this decadence that we're having, that people are not using this technology in the way it was conceived to be used, to communicate, to educate, to inform, and socialize, yes. So we are majoring on the socialization bit of it. And because people started out naturally diffident, they're looking for affirmation from everybody, from the world, that they exist. It's a very tragedy, because what it means is that they're empty. They do not know where they are, and they're looking for affirmation. They're looking for somebody what they are. They don't have confidence. It is a display of low self-esteem, is what I call it. That's what it is. Now, sorry, hit me with the question again. You know,
how did all this self-modeling in your own way, in your own peculiar way, prepare you for the stardom or the role I saw you doing so or performing when you were an actress, when you were on that black and white TV, on that British comedy? I can't remember the title. Please, can you remember the title? What was the title, please, of the TV comedy?
Some others do have them.
Oh, yeah.
But the things that we learn, you know, we are what we take. Just as we are what we eat, we are what we think. And you can't hide what you think. They say when you meet somebody and you open your mouth, you reveal who you are.
Yeah.
If you're confident, if you have knowledge, you don't show up. You can only give what you have. And if you soak yourself in knowledge, apart from everything else, your face becomes the index of your soul. People can see on your face who you are. Look at criminals. Go to Oshodi and you see how they are going. Have you noticed their face? You've noticed their faces, the contours of their face completely different from ordinary people's faces. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Criminals, whether they're however polished they think they are, you can see the index of evil, or if it is good, you can always tell. If you go to the school I went to, because what is in your soul, what is in you, your face then shows what is in your soul all the time. Well, and if you learn like that, talking about navigating this world, you will always be in the right place and at the right time, meeting the right people and being given the right opportunity that you want. That's how I would say, that's how simple life really is actually. That's the law, but a lot of us don't know. And I guess that's why they say knowledge is power. So I sat somewhere and somebody picked me and said, was I an actor? That's how I became an actor. It's a little bit more complicated than this simple statement, because when I look at it, am I an actor? Because I wasn't just an ordinary young girl. I was I was a civil servant actually. Before then, every year that I had a vacation from work, every year I went to do one course or the other. I never had a vacation. I would spend my holiday going to learn one skill or the other. Secretaryship, cosmetology, whatever. Michelangelo's painting. I would go into that to do something, to learn something. Yeah, the knowledge may be periphery, maybe superficial, but there is no superficial knowledge, I tell you. If you are a sponge as I was, as I still am, you soak these things in, and I guess they form you. So I'm beginning to think that I sat down there and I saw, and this director thought, William Gascoigne, his name was, that I was a performer. Never been on stage, never had any dreams of being on stage, never ever as a young girl thought, oh, I want to be famous. It never occurred to me. My path was completely different. I was going to be a lawyer. Completely different. And I said, good. I thought to myself, maybe, yes, I'd like to join. He asked whether I would like to join the production. Whether this year, that would be my assignment. That's something I should learn that year. That's how completely off base my life was in those days. I just did what came to my head. And I'm beginning to think that the Lord, the universe, is already pre-programmed us. And if we're ready to discover what we have been given, what we have in the ether that is coming to us, it will be hitting us. What we think we're seeking, we don't even know we're seeking. Will seek us. So
I'm going to have to cut in there. Something has just come to my mind that women are built naturally to be multitasked.
Excuse me, I am going to tell you that women are God.
I agree.
When God created the world, whoever he was, he came here to create his world. He infused women with all his divine qualities. He is the one who is developing the world. Do you produce a baby? No, he does. So women are, and it says in the Bible, it's made us in his image and likeness. When you start looking at these things quite seriously, you will know, well, it might occur to you that, well, look, wait a minute, this is this woman. She's the one who is going, she takes the seed, she's going to develop it. You give woman a seed, she'll give you a complete farm. She's going to develop that seed. It's going to be in gestation. She's going to deliver the baby. She's going to suckle that baby. She's going to look after that baby till she dies. Who does that? The father doesn't have time for the family. He's too busy filtering his seeds all over the place, being manly, being masculine. No, I'm not abusing anybody. I'm working on it.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to make, the point I'm trying to make that is that, I mean, an average natural woman should begin to put herself in that mode of the fact that her capacity is so wide. So she shouldn't
tell the woman who she is, which is what I'm saying. And you think it's orthodox what I'm saying. Unless you tell her, unless you acquaint her of her divinity, she doesn't know this. Because what the patriarchy does is to make women subordinate to them. Because patriarchy thinks power is about brawn. It isn't. Women have the power, actually. They make your homes. Exactly. That's where it is. You know, marry a wife. You marry an 18-year-old girl. In 5 years, go and look at that woman. She's older mentally than her husband. Am I lying? I think we should interrogate all these things about women. That little girl you married and you said you paid the bride price of and you put in a fattening room and whatever it is, she will metamorphose in the life of that man as a god. And when she has a baby, those children, who do you think they think their God is?
The mother.
Exactly. What I'm saying is not far-fetched at all. The only God that a child knows is his mother. And when a man is in extremis, he's dying like this, the last name he's going to mention is his mother. Take it from me. That's how powerful women are. But we have not socialized them to know this in order for them to take on this responsibility. And it's given to only a few people who know this. And sometimes when they know it, they start getting aggressive. That's not what God asked us to do. We don't have to want to be a man. I don't want ever to be a man.
That's the point. So the 21st century woman, in being self-assertive like you were, may be led back about exploring her capacity as a woman. As young women, Khadija and Antonia, what are the difficulties? What are the things you have to leap over? What are the challenges you have to take on to explore your full capacity as women?
I have to think a bit on that question because I feel the only challenge, I'll speak for myself. The only challenge I will have is me. Exactly. Is to overcome the fact that I can't, that I'm able to do it. So once I can tell myself, like a mommy said, once you are acquainted with your divinity, you are already equipped with everything that we need to be what we need to self-actualize. It's just for us to know that we are equipped and to go about looking for it. So there's no, I don't think there are any challenges per se. When people say, oh, the men puts challenges there, I think it's unfair to the men to say, yes, maybe they think they are putting challenges, but I think it's unfair because sometimes you just do your own part. Educate yourself. What are you bringing to the table? You don't want a handout, do it? Because I always tell people, I say quality. You always know. Like mommy said, once you open your mouth, people know who you are. And once you open your mouth and you can give value, they will give you the value.
Yeah.
So it's for you to know that you possess these things, for you to be aware that you possess these things, and that you can go, and once you are willing to put in the work, you can go, and as they say, the sky is your limit. So I think the challenge is getting out of your own way, getting your knowledge and getting out of your own way.
So I'm still talking to Dave Ajai Lycett, a veteran actress, broadcaster, journalist, cosmetologist, counselor, and life coach, and she's doing that so well, coaching us about how to be women. So she's a commentator, educationist, entrepreneur, advertising and populations consultant, and she's with her assistant, Khadija. I just forgot your surname.
Brimo, and I'm my agent
Khadija Brimo and Antonia Liu.
They're both my lawyers. They're both lawyers.
Oh, barristers. Exactly. I'm so sorry. I didn't recognize that.
No problem. It's fine.
No problem at all.
I told you, there is no woman that is small. There is no woman that you must underestimate. And it's good now in this place where we have the appellations that we give. Maybe it brings things into perspective. You educate your children, and then you tell them that they must be submissive and this, that, and the other. You're not telling them they have to be your partners.
Okay.
Yeah, you are not telling your women they're partners. Just as my two women are there, they're my partners. That's good. They're taking the journey together. I'm tapping their brains, they're tapping mine, and we're building. That is the woman for you. That is the profile of a real woman, based on knowledge and respect. But when you have your women and you educate them, and you're still telling them that they're only good in Zioza room, they're not contesting being in Zioza room, then you are objectifying them. There are two people in Zioza room. Why are you denigrating the other woman as an object?
I personally don't think women only belong in the other room. But the point is,
philosophical, darling. No, Khadija said something earlier on that I wanted to tap in when you were to segue into your question of how did I make it happen in England, in a country where there is racism. Yeah. Okay, when you open your mouth, as we say, and people know who you are, they can't challenge you. Nobody can start saying. They're the people who then look stupid by thinking that you are inferior to them. Put them on their toes. I'll give something to Europeans. They believe in meritocracy, and they won't let you go. You see, this is how they're still using us like that. When they know that you have value, they're going to use you. We don't use one another. We say he's from Calabar, he's Igbo, he's Yoruba, he's this, that, and the other. No. So when I came into that, and they saw me, it was on opening night that people were already booking me. That's when I got an agent. Like Khadija said, do you have an agent and everything? And the director, you cannot work on the English stage without being a member of the union, equity. They had to go and get a temporary equity card for me to work on stage. Are you linking it up? Until finally I'd done a body of work which enabled me to have full membership. So nothing can put you down. What people are thinking with forceful women, it's only if that woman doesn't quite know what she's doing. Nothing can put a strong woman down. She doesn't have to flex any muscles at anybody, because the intellectual muscles that she has.
And she doesn't have to flaunt anything.
No. She doesn't have to wave her bum about. She doesn't have to wave anything. In fact, it's very difficult for men to hit on a woman, an authentic woman, an intelligent and authentic woman. Very difficult for men to bring some rubbish around her.
So the question now is, I will consider your self-assertion, your emanation into that formidable personality as exotic. I'll also consider the Nigerian woman now, the younger generation, that they should also have that exotism. What I mean by that what I in communication we call it the nuclear, the seed that is necessary for you to assert yourself. So this question will go to Khadija or Antonia. Let me come to you. I'm considering what Mommy or Dem says about having that assertion, standing out so that nobody tells you or tries to use you. What is wrong with the young generation today? Why is it that they're losing that seed, that assertion, that exotism, that ability to convince men that I can be my own woman? And if I'm my own woman, I'm not trying to subdue the man. I'm just trying to say, let's be partners. What is wrong?
One, you should look at the kind of role models that they try to imitate. I've spoken about their foundation. If you look at this current generation, the young generation, most of them don't have anyone around them to guide them the way we were brought up or the way we were led from the onset. Right now, there are a lot of people that are not in school because of the ASU strike. What are they doing presently? There are people out there trying to scam other people just to make money. And some of them, in most cases, you find that their parents are tolerant of such behaviors. A lot of people are following trendsetters, regardless of the fact that you know that these trends that are being set are in the negative light. They don't see it as wrong because, all they see is the likes that people have for such videos. Do you get? And they see that it brings in money. So why not do the same thing? I can also make fame that way instead of actually putting in the work. So if it looks like because of how things are presently, as Mommy said, they are trying to get their recognition from others. They themselves have not found who they actually are. They have no substance as it is right now. They are just following what is presently playing out as the norm. I think that's a deficit. We are not being guided right. We don't have enough role models, so to speak, that would, let us know that, okay, yes, you can actually influence people by doing more positive things than negatives. Most of these things that we see them trend about are usually very shallow, Yeah, very shallow.
Yeah, thank you. And for me, now I know that such seeds or that they implanted in her life matched her, empowered her to, be on a program called Calling Nigeria at BBC Bush House in London. Dame, can you tell us what you were calling out Nigerians to do when you were at BBC Bush House, London?
I was some kind of correspondent, BBC correspondent, for what was going on in England, and every week I had a program every week called Calling Nigeria, at which I brought all this to them. I interviewed Harold Macmillan, who was the Prime Minister of Great Britain. I think I interviewed Chino Achebe, Steve Rhodes. If there were Nigerians coming to England and they were doing things, I let them know, and I let Nigeria know what current affairs, what was going on in England at that time. I interviewed Emeka Ayoku, stuff like that's what I did. If there was an Edinburgh International Festival, I took my hua. This was before we had all this technological magic where everything you can just, a parent can have a camera and everything. You used to carry a huge machine around interviewing. So I went all the UK. covering what I thought would be interesting between my producer and myself. And we'll sit down an hour program calling Nigeria. It was fantastic. So that was my journalism part. I was doing that. And at that time, the Thompson organization also, who owned the Daily Times then, with Alhaji Babatunde Jose at their head, also commissioned me to be writing pieces for the Daily Times from the UK. This is from just being found sitting down somewhere and became an actor. You see the ripple effect. All of these professions, nobody prepared me for them, but I segued into them, as it were, painlessly, because I was a bibliophile, for God's sake, and I was curious, and I was so curious and so current is the word about what was going on, and I was still working, but that was my life. So I was able to get into all these things. So I started sending things to the Daily Times. I was even modeling clothes and sending and writing pieces like that. That's how people like Akorogun Segun Oshoba knew me. And it's fascinating, a story about that. Not many people knew this. When there was Nigerian Media Merit Awards was formed, Alhaji Babatunde Jose was the chairman of the board of trustees. Yes, so they made me a member of the panel of judges for Media Merit Awards. That was 30 years ago. And there was a press conference. And at the press conference, a journalist said, well, they understood everybody. I think Professor Clark was a member of the panel. Quite a few people were there. And they wanted to know what I was doing there. The journalist asked Alhaji Jose that, I'm an actor. So what was I doing as a member of the panel of judging journalists? And he said, well, we know why we picked her. I like the answer. In other words, some people know me just as an actor. Other people will know my other incarnations, I call them, and all that. And that's, talking about journalism, I was, I think you knew about that, editor of Africa Woman. I imagine you'll come around to that. And so that's it. When you are educated, in other words, when you're literate, as much of a bibliophile as I was, anything literate and literature is a cakewalk, I imagine. Because if you're literate, if you read like that, you will have a creative mind. And I knew I was like that. I could never call myself an artist. Curious, perhaps. Curious, yes. Creative, perhaps. But an artist is a different animal entirely. You will not find me calling myself an artist, because until finally I was beginning to see that since I had no idea of all of these things, the muse must be sitting on my shoulder, really.
So in all of this, being a woman of many parts, and you were doing Call in Nigeria, can you compare the Nigerian that you experienced in those days between Nigeria and the UK, and the Nigerian you know today between Nigeria and the UK?
In those days, we were coming off colonialism, right? I left here just before independence. The colonialists knew what they were doing. They educated us. They educated us to use us. Oh yes, you have an administration here. You can't keep bringing all your people here. So you educate some of the natives to take on the job. Modern education. It wasn't really that we were backward. We were an oral society, but they taught us to keep records. We still haven't fully learned that, actually. We still depend very much on the oral part of our lives. And that's why Europe thinks they can tell us who we are. Anyway, they educated us. I'm not so afraid of my thinking right now. Give me the question again, please.
I asked between if you
and whatever. That's the difference. I have that. They educated us, and we were curious, and we were being educated was a major thing because we knew it would open doors for our people. So people were passionate about educating their children, including women. Some were late in catching up in educating their women, but eventually they saw that it was a good thing to give education to your children. That is the difference. That the passion that the people in the generation before us had for educating us, knowing that it will open up the world to us. That's what we had then, we don't have now. That's the reason that our universities can be closed and people can be taking 4-7 years to take a 3-year degree, because we still do not, some of the people now, contemporary people, do not know the true value of education. That's the difference. And it is telling on our polity, it's telling on our lives, our social life, our environmental life, and the lives of our people. We have now, for not educating our people, enslaved them, put them in another form of slavery, because the environment, poverty now dominates them. Whereas education, when you have that, education blesses you with the knowledge that nothing is impossible for you to achieve. That if you put your mind to it, that you're not easily dejected and desperate and completely lost. That's the difference. I'm not asking colonialism to come back, but that is what our people learned from their experience with the colonialists, to give education to their children, which they gave us. And our own contemporary people are not doing it. Our politicians are not doing it. If you say our politicians, if they represent the colonialists, they're not giving their population that advantage that the colonialists gave, which they thought would be to their advantage to use us. But it turned out that we grabbed the opportunity to learn and ran with it and became something. As a result of that, that was what enabled us, empowered us to get independence. Now, ignorance and illiteracy is putting us back. So it is tragic. When you ask me to compare, when we look at it starkly like this, it is pretty tragic what we've done to ourselves. That is the difference. And the result of it is what you're watching on social media, of people just using the media, which could really empower them in a different way. Because if you don't have an education, what will attract you are all the shiny objects, all the noise and all the shiny objects, and the low-hanging fruits. Those are the things you will go for. But when you're truly educated, you know that foundation is important, and you have to build your foundation very well. And that once you have that foundation, the edifice you build on top of that foundation is got to be glorious. So you don't have impatience. You are calm, and you go step by step and build your dream. They will materialize. But if you have a people who are not living in their heads, who are just worrying about to eat, who do not know the value of the unity of mind and body, you have problems, which is what we have in our lives, which is what you're experiencing on social media. Empty people who want recognition, don't know how to go about it. But give them an education, they will have an awareness of their own personal dignity, which they lack now. Because if somebody is flaunting something at you, as you were saying earlier on, in their bedroom, and what would they do if they were with you? They would do that. Because even though the place is full of churches, nobody is really telling them what is in the good book. Know ye not that ye are the temple of the living God?
And this, I understand you. And so let me just take this into the movie industry, where people say they're doing epic movies and they are not curious to research so deeply to know the truth about what the story trying to tell. But in your case, curiosity prepared you so much that you thrived on journalism as associate editor of Paris and London-based African magazine in the 70s. You thrived as pioneer editor of Diaspora Focus, Africa Woman, Peace and Peace African, among others. This curiosity that you built prepared you for any situation. So how would you, consider this in terms of a movie industry? What you did was, as a media person, movies are about media. So how should we use our curiosity to tell the truth about us?
Back to literacy, my dear. If you want to write script about an issue, literacy, and let me put the biggest part, critical thinking. You got to think something to the end. Everything about our life is about quantum physics, cause, effect. So you want to write a script, you don't take it from the cause and then show us all the effects. You just take it from somewhere and you say you're making a movie. It doesn't work. So education, education, education. Literacy, literacy, literacy. People are not reading enough. And in our business, you have to read prodigiously. If you say you don't have time to read, then what exactly is your time for? Because you have to make quality time for yourself. We had this thing at 11 o'clock. I'd already done a couple of hours of what I do in the morning, of reading and switching myself on, of finding out, of preparing the day, of anticipating the day. I don't know how it will go, but you at least prepare yourself for the day. Don't know what I'm going to say, but at least you do somebody the respect of preparing for what you're going to do. That's what's happening in our movie industry. They're not respecting their audience. And then another thing in the good book, relying on your own knowledge. We never finish learning, man. So you take an issue, you want to do the film. You have to work on it for about 2 or 3 years, going here, researching. Just as an actor, actors also have to do that. But do you see a sign of it around the acting business? No, because I have a pretty face, and I've done 100, 1,000 movies before, and then you go, and then you just do what happens. But the opportunity you have, if you're given a part, that person is not you. You want to know why that person acts the way they act. You must know. You can't assume. You have to research that. You see the difference between overseas acting and the acting here. You give a man a part or a woman, she's going to get herself a coach, physical coach, vocal coach, acting coach. Is that what your people are doing here? No, because we already know everything, you see. We're actors, we're superstars. That's what is happening. When you label yourself like that, you have already limited your own growth. When you feel that you know everything, then you're not going anywhere fast. But those that we have our sights set on, that's what they do. They don't assume they know anything. They know this world is a big, big ache to eat. So they sharpen their knives and everything, waiting for and trying to find out which part they're going to cut to eat. We don't do that. So there is no big name that they're thinking about. You go ask Denzel Washington, ask Sidney Poitier, I had the honor to work with, how they work. Then you will know it's no child's play. And that's the reason why nobody's respecting us here. Because most of us are exhibitionists. We just want to be seen. We're pretty and all that. And so naturally, because the men have already objectified and sexualized the women, and then I get plenty of money, she's going to be my mistress. They're going to call you for dinner or whatever it is. And before you know what, one thing will lead on to another, and there you are. So that's the level at which we're working. Both the producers, they're not doing their work. For instance, let us make a movie about the policemen in this country. Why do they shake you down every time they see you? Have we made movies about that? Just the policemen, the the police force. Have you been there? Have you been to their barracks? Do you know how they're being paid? Do you know that they have to pay for their own uniforms? And then you expect to have a committed policeman, the man who doesn't have any, it doesn't have facilities, he doesn't have a vehicle, the vehicle in his office is not working, and he doesn't have biro to write the notes. So when you say something has happened, you have to take him to the place he's supposed to be investigating impartially. So he says you must give me money in order to bring you justice. You see how one kid is. So what's our movie industry doing to do that? Because I happen to believe that the entertainment industry can change our world here in Nigeria.
That's what I'm always curious about. And I get people telling me they want to make money. And I say, you could make more money solving the Nigerian problem. Because people out there want to know about Nigeria. People out there don't really know the challenges we face and how we could go about solving them. So I'm going to throw the next question to Antonia and Khadija.
Yeah, we don't want to take the spotlight from mommy. So
no, this is a woman. This is a man. This is a man in the midst of women talk. So yeah, so I captured the word curiosity. I don't know how curiosity has helped your generation as women. Curiosity, them from the word go, from the get-go, from what I've read about her online and research on her, has built up so much curiosity. And I don't think she's tired of learning. She's still curious. So how has curiosity, okay, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask you some personal questions. How has curiosity helped in your legal practice, in your profession, in your becoming who you are today, in asserting yourself as a woman?
Let me think on that a bit. You know, they say curiosity killed the cat. So curiosity can be good or bad, depending on how you use it. But most of the time it's good because it's the only way you can navigate your way in this world. You see, we'll go back to when we were kids, or children in general, when they are growing. It's curiosity that helps them define who they are. Because if they are not curious, they won't get to know what life is. You see a child is crawling, he touches the fire burns him. Next time he knows fire is bad, I will not touch it anymore. So for me, as a lawyer, you have to be able to help your clients. You have to be willing to dig deep into the issues that the client has presented for you so that you can find solution. And sometimes the client has just said, oh, this is what has happened. There are circumstantial things that happen. There are underlying things that happen. There are social things. So as a lawyer, it's your duty to go and search, to dig deep into what may be causing all these things and how you can be creative in providing solutions for them. So it still goes back to you studying. Because if you're not curious, you wouldn't want to study. So it's only curiosity that will push you to want to know. There's intellectual curiosity, the physical ones, their curiosity in different forms. And sometimes in you being curious, you learn from other people's mistakes, you learn from other people's wins. So it's not like you have to make all the mistakes yourself. But if you do not know, it's like you are navigating the world blind. Something I feel my own take on curiosity will be like it shines light on your ignorance. So as a young woman still growing, I'm very fortunate that I have people like Ajai Lycett. It's not I count myself fortunate every day because she's a wealth of knowledge. She has lived. So when I have issues, in any kind of issues, I come to her and I say, how do you see this? Because somehow I know there must be an experience in her life that she can shine on. And she will now also call in me the need to go do further research on how it is and what I should say. So with her, it's like when you know, she's a university on her own.
That's a good one. so let me ask you, Antonia, do you think, Ma?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
We're talking about curiosity, and Khadija, as usual, has mentioned something about curiosity killing the cat. Curiosity can be a negative side of the point that really we should be looking. Inquisitiveness.
Okay.
That's the positive part of curiosity. That's the other side of curiosity. To be inquisitive. We're not training our to be inquisitive.
Okay. So Antonia, do you think the Nigerian movie producer has been really, really positively or negatively inquisitive about the Nigerian woman? You've seen Nigerian movies. Do you think the Nigerian movie producer has discovered the real Nigerian woman from your experience on Nigerian movies?
I don't think so. I believe there's a wealth of information if they could only just research. They concentrate so much on what is readily available, what is obvious on the surface. They don't dig deep. There's no true research.
So what are those? What are those peculiar Nigerian woman things? I want you to forget about dense inquisitiveness. I begin to think about the contemporary Nigerian woman. What are those exotic? Let me use the word exotic. Those beautiful, diamonds that the movie producer can discover in the Nigerian woman. Maybe I should throw this question all around. So, starting from you, what is that beautiful thing the Nigerian movie producer should harvest about the Nigerian woman to present her, to the world?
We've talked about the fact that a woman is nurturing every child from how they were created up until when they realize who they actually are. What they know is basically impacted upon them by their mothers, because she spends a whole lot of time molding them into who they should be. Education, when you look at education, you look at in the north, you have the experience there that a lot of women are not educated. They are not educated at all. What is the government doing? What are we doing to see that particular vacuum is taken care of? Because you can only impact what you know on your child. You can only lead them, you can only teach them, to the best of your ability. It has to do with what you have in yourself to give them. Yes. So there are lots of problems that Nigerian women face. The education is part of it. Of course, we have outside influences. The economy hasn't been so good. So parents are not at home to take care of, creating that foundational basis for their kids and all that. Then you have the issue of rape because of exposure, and these are issues that need to be actually looked into. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done.
Okay, then can you throw it to the Nigerian movie producer to harvest? What would he harvest about the Nigerian woman that will blow up the world, that will make the world know that Nigeria has women?
I think we've discussed the value of the intrinsic value of mental and creative value of women. When I look at is it Instagram or whatever now, do you know what you see? The camera goes to the bottom of the woman. The bigger the bum, the better. No, seriously, you ask me a question. The bigger the bottom, the better. In other words, because men are obsessed with sex, all they've done is sexualize women. They're only useful for sex. So when they see them, it is their fetishism that they maintain, that they want to show us. They want to show us how big her boobs are, how big her bum is. So how is that edifying a family? How is that edifying a country? How is that edifying?
Okay, Dave, let's forget about what they show now.
You ask a question.
Can you take the Yoruba woman, for example? Take the Yoruba woman, for example. There's this negative connotation about the Yoruba woman is cheap. If you're taking a Yoruba woman, she will say, buy me food, buy me Fanta. Don't worry about buying me champagne. can you destroy that motion, that prejudice?
I think the journey is going to be a long one for us. So.
Okay. Got it short, please.
Because we're talking about profiling now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Which comes from all the prejudices about what a woman is, and then categorizing them into tribal whatever it is. A Calabar woman, for instance, is a sexual genius.
Object, yeah.
That's rubbish. It may well be, but why is it that that's the only thing that we're going to characterize a Calabar woman?
And an Igbo woman lost money.
Yeah. Now, that's not helping any issue. We're not going to go anywhere fast like that.
Yeah.
It's like what we do in politics. We personalize things. We don't deal with issues. The issues movies should be dealing with is how to build a society, how to have a strong family structure in our society, because the macro society is going to be filthy. It's going to be tragic as it is now if the micro is not taken care of. If the small family, if it doesn't start from the family, from raising, as Anthony has said, from raising the children in the first place, and majoring and focusing on women, that this is the job they're doing, and how to encourage them to, as I keep saying, maybe it's too big to say, to recognize their divinity, their importance in the scheme of things.
Yeah.
We're telling our women they're not important in anything, and yet they are the people who build the family that we all become in the larger society, that come from all the people in the larger society come from families. But you've already destroyed the family. The woman is not important. She's a burden to you and an object to you and somebody you come home to, and you don't take any notice of her, but at night you say she must open her legs because that's all she's good for. Just look at that. What kind of society do you have? You are raising a society of women who think that all they have to do is sell their bum and sell their toto. Sorry, that's who you are raising. And it's got to be to the highest bidder. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Is Mr. Afan still there?
I don't run away yet.
You ask for this.
Yeah. Because
when you raise women, you've told their mothers and you've told them that that's all they're good for. Why are we surprised that they're flaunting, that the girls themselves are now nakeding themselves, so to speak, and putting it them by themselves on there? I don't see there's a mystery in that. We are producing the thing we're getting on social media. We're not majoring on building our society. I don't see anybody worried about that. And the movie industry is, as I said, that is the place where we can build society, and we're not doing that. Instead, cameras are showing bombs all over the place. The bigger the bomb, the better. You are not saying that, are you good? How often have we seen any show on a highly educated woman, a professional, and how she's managing her home and managing her work, and how she's navigating all these two worlds and still raising a family?
If I had money, I'll do your biography. Biopic. I'll do your bio picture. So the next question goes to Khadija. What is that sweet dewdrop that a woman, a Nigerian woman, a contemporary Nigerian woman, as beautiful as you can drop, that a Nigerian man can say, wow, the Nigerian producer said, I must capture it. What is that sweet dewdrop? That positive sweet dewdrop? Because I know that's what Dame is looking for all the while she's been talking. She said they're doing trash, they're bringing trash to her skin. What is that sweet dewdrop that you can drop, that a Nigerian woman, young woman can drop in the midst of this movie industry, so that, wow, we go to the Oscars and win an award on the Nigerian woman? What is that sweet dewdrop?
I would say we should not brush. The term Nigerian woman is broad. There are as many Nigerian women as there are ethnic groups in Nigeria. So, and all of them are living in their own reality as their
different backgrounds.
So the woman is a function of her background, her environment. So when you say Nigerian woman, it's like there's only one way Nigerian woman can be. Especially when you said the real Nigerian woman. So there are several Nigerian women, they are all real. They are Nigerians.
Exactly.
So because
let me tell you something. There has to be an aggregation, because I read somewhere they said women will always be relationship bound, whether they're lesbians, whether they're heterosexual. Women are always bound to enjoy relationship. So as a woman, as a Nigerian woman, forget all the tribes. Since you want to talk about the particular Nigerian woman, please tell me something about the Fulani woman. What
I don't know about the Fulani woman.
Okay, what about
I'm not a Fulani woman.
She can only speak for herself now.
I can only speak for myself.
Okay.
It would be fallacious to say women. You would say most women.
Okay.
That women tend, you would say women tend to be, not all women. And I'm sure if we start to search, the one woman, there's no relationship around.
Exactly.
So if you're talking about winning Oscars, this and that, I think winning Oscars depends on how deep you can delve into your story and connect with the world.
With the street. So what is that connection? What is that thing we need to connect?
I would say it will be the Nigerian woman's resilience. And I'm talking because we are in Nigeria and we're all facing the same hardships. We are facing the same insecurity and all. So I would say our resilience as a people, and especially the woman, because yes, first of all, from history, the woman has not had it easy. Then to now top that with the situation we are in, then top that with our cultural biases, and top that with the prejudices, and she still is able to navigate. So however she can navigate, if I were a storyteller, like Mommy said, for you to bring out the character, you need to know where the character has been.
It's coming from.
What has formed the character's choices? What has formed the actions, whether good or bad? So is that telling that journey, not just assuming? Because I feel some Nigerian producers and directors, they just assume things. So the one that aches me the most, that maybe you see, is a simple court scene, because I'm a lawyer. You see a court scene, and the lawyers are not even properly dressed. And I'm like, did you not even have a lawyer in your team to tell you that this is not how you appear in court? This is not how you speak in court. So you will see there's a dearth of research on their part. They just want to push it out, not just push it out. And if we're going to attain that Oscar level, Oscar does not deal with. I watch Oscar movies a lot. In those days, I used to think they were very boring movies. Yeah. But I saw that there were themes, because they were not like commercially viable movies where you go to the box office for entertainment. But you could see that they touched some kinds of topics. They made you think about the character. They made you go through the journey of the character.
Let me tell you something. Let me aggregate some things that as a man, I perceive the Nigerian woman, those sweet dewdrops. The Calabar woman or the Efik Ibibi woman is reputed to like tell her lover or husband when he's eating on the table, "Are you okay? Are you satisfied?"
Sorry to interrupt you. These are things that have been said over and over again. So every time you see a Calabar woman, that's what you are thinking of. I'm telling you. I'm trying to tell you that you are not. We just believe the things. We know, okay, Calabar woman can cook, Yoruba woman can do. These are
them that can't cook.
Exactly, you are ethnic profiling them. So you should take the woman as it could be predominant in that place. So I won't call it a sweet spot. I just feel look at the women and the things that if I were a director, I want to write a story. I want to write a story about these people. I would go and research the people to ensure that what I'm putting out there is the truth, because art is how we relate. Most of the time, art is how we relate with the world. We grew up watching American movies. I could have sworn that America did not have any poor people, any homeless people. I could have sworn that it was filled with milk and honey.
And for God's sake, there are 10,000 homeless people in Los Angeles of all places.
Exactly. So it's what they choose. It's not as if they don't have this, but it's what they choose to focus on. And sometimes those stories the stories they've chosen, they are not lies, but they just want to amplify that. So maybe I feel we should amplify the virtues of the Nigerian woman.
You're looking for women who are not essentially relationship bound. And I said, what? There's a problem there for me. A woman will always be relationship bound when she's looking at somebody. She's not a utilitarian like men. Men use women and drown. A woman doesn't. When a woman chooses a man, she does that with all her heart. She's committed to that. So it's a relationship she wants. And what is that? That is the primordial sensitivities to form a family, to create a family, to nurture a family, and grow the family, and fill the population. Back to God again. Says, produce and be plentiful, Abi, or something to that effect. And says, well, it's giving dominion to you. The woman has gotten the dominion because the woman is God, as I said. So she knows she's not just having a one-night stand. She knows what a one-night stand is. It's a waste of her time. Men can live with that because they're just seed carriers. They don't fertilize anything. But a woman knows that once she starts this, she's starting a completely new ball game. So what's wrong with being relationship bound? Yeah, they don't play games. Women don't want to play games. They're more positive. They want to build a society. They want to build a family. So if filmmakers are making films, start looking at that quality in a woman that wants to settle down. But the man doesn't want to settle down, so that you hate that. A woman wanting to tie you down, wanting to say to you, are you serious about this? Because I am. And the other thing I want to tell you is that men don't choose wives, women choose them. So when a woman chooses a man, she already knows what she wants. The person, I want to be the father of my children, instinctively. So she's not playing one night stand. Those people who have one night stand, we created them by this profiling that we are doing with women, by the objectifying and sexualizing of women. A woman wants to build a family. That's the filmmakers should start doing that, so that it's not the glamorous whatever it is that we should be looking at. We should be looking at family, women that are having families, stable family, and really putting their minds into it, because those families they're raising make the society in future. And to the extent that we had not done that, is what we're seeing now. It's the tragedy we're seeing now. We have faced the money-making business and think that when we marry, we're not marrying for the structure of the family. We're marrying because we've reached certain age and we have certain urges, and it's good to wake up in bed and turn around and there's fresh meat available. That's why we're marrying. There's hardly any love involved in it, hardly any commitment involved in it. We should be worried about it, because the fruits of what we have sown is what we're seeing around. No commitment to your children on the excuse that you are working. Our fathers were working their hands out and their backs out too when we were growing up. But they didn't neglect to raise us properly with proper values. enduring values. So what is it that the modern man is doing? And they didn't raise us to say that my mother told me, for instance, that no man was, you were not born for the sake of any man. I see you are working that out. She's saying that you are not an object. We have not brought you into this world to be an object to any person. You are to be who make your own contribution. Don't be a parasite.
Okay, I understand now.
We're raising parasites.
Yeah, you're right.
When you're raising women who manipulate men. Darling, when you come as I cook your best food, is this the way you like it? Those are manipulating men. That's what you've raised women to be now. They know what you dance to, so they feed you all that nonsense, and they feed you and they do this. And now let me now put you something. If these women if all this profiling is working for men in Nigeria, why are we now running around about DNA and paternity issues? Because 75% of the children that these women are giving you are not yours.
That's a big issue now these days.
Exactly. So when you told me that the women issue is simple, it is not. I told you at the beginning, it's complicated. And unless we're interrogating these issues very well, we'll just be going around and around chasing our tails in circle. 3 children, all 3 don't belong to the man. A judge somewhere the other day, all 3 children he raised were not his. Supreme Court judge or something. Why? Because you see, men think they have the seed and they're sleeping with women all around.
It's been a very rich conversation here. I'm still talking to Dame Ajai Lycett, who doesn't hold back at all, and she's being held by Antonia Liu.
Anthony, I'm sorry, I scandalized you guys.
You're not holding back at all.
Alaja Khadija, I'm sorry, I scandalized you.
You are
You're just saying the truth now.
Them is a very curious human being who has used her inquisitiveness to be so professional. Actress, broadcaster, journalist, cosmetologist, counselor and life coach, social commentator, educationist, entrepreneur, advertising and publications, consultant. And I'm hoping that Antonia and Khadija will pick up the trail and excel. So, what we're going to do now is to celebrate them. I need us to celebrate them. And this celebration is going to come right from her. She has, back so much experiences. She was in Conor Cruz O'Brien's Motors Angels Coffee, tending a Leon's tea shop in the city of London, or in the city from 1960 to 1962. Conor Cruz O'Brien's Motors Angels, Sydney Poitras, A Warm December in 1971. She's been on Mnet TV series, stage drama, Dear War, Tunde Kalani's Dazzling Marriage, Ron Oloibri in Nigeria in 1976, and among others, on the occasion of your 81st birthday. Can we celebrate you? How should we celebrate you? Let's hear from the horse's mouth. How should we, the young people, whether male or female, celebrate you? Like I was saying, I said, let's celebrate Dame Taiwo Ajai Lycett. She's been with the stars like Sydney Poitier. Okay, Poitier, that's French. And she's been on Tinsel. She's been on Tunde Kalani's set. She's been in a library.
Dazzling Mirage.
Yeah, she's been in such productions. Ma'am, okay, let me not ask you to start. Antonia, how will you celebrate them, Ajai Lycett? Antonia, can you celebrate her? No fear, but don't be afraid of her. Celebrate her your way. Celebrate her, let's hear you.
She's an icon. She's been a strong supporter. I've learned so much just being in her company, from her experience. She's always willing to share her experiences, whether in the corporate world or in her acting. She's always willing to impact knowledge. She's open. She's just a gem.
Have you watched her on that Mothers Have Them?
Yes, I have.
I used to be intrigued when I used to be so intrigued when I used to watch. As a young person, I used to be intrigued, you know, and when I finally learned that she's come back to Nigeria and she was in Lagos, I was always looking forward to seeing her. In my own way, my celebration would be that she's such a simple, upfront person. Honestly, because when I contacted her, she's never met me, I've never met her. When I saw her on Facebook and I dropped the hint that I was going to interview her, she said, come on, why not? You know, that openness really, really intrigued me, and it took me back to when I used to see her on TV with her hairdo on black and white TV. I think she was a difficult person in that. So I'm like, okay, that was an actress, but this is a human person. So Khadija, can you celebrate them?
What more can I add? Like I've always said, the first thing that struck me about them was her individuality, how her own person she is. And it's something that I really want to achieve. And it was not built overnight, it was built by her saying yes to life. I think if there's one thing I learn and I keep learning every day, is her ability to say yes to life, not to limit herself by her age or any circumstance or anything that has happened to her. You know that thing they say, what does not kill you make you stronger? She's a living embodiment of that. Sticks and stones you might throw, but she will still come up over and over and over again. So I'm always in awe of that. And you mentioned her humility, her humbleness. And it comes from a place, she lives her talk. Let me just put it like that. She's a woman of integrity that lives her talk. So if she's saying, oh, we are always learning, you don't know what life will throw, she lives it. You see it because she's open. She's always open to life's experiences. And that's one thing I would really love to. That's one thing I really would love to achieve in life. So I'm always thankful every day for the opportunity of being able to be in her presence and to soak up everything she brings. Like Antonia said, you cannot leave mommy without having added value to yourself.
Yeah.
Can't, unless you don't want to. And she will keep at it because she knows that's the right thing. So once she knows it's the right path, you can't sway her from it. She will listen. And she's open, she will listen to you. Because that's who she is. She's humble. She doesn't believe she knows everything. She's open to all things. But what I would celebrate her most is her ability to always say yes to life. And I think that's the major thing I learned from her. That's her individuality and her ability to say yes to life.
Okay, I'm going to take you on a long story if I'm asking you to celebrate yourself, right? Because I have a lot running here, so many things. You wrote your soul with Oloshoyinka's Lion the Jewel. You've done things for cultural orientation program called Just Sharing with Taiwo, Ajai Lycett, as a trained counselor, life coach, social commentator, education entrepreneur, advertising and communication consultant. You've done a lot of things in the media, communication. If I'm to do a biopic of them, Taiwo, Ajai Lycett, how should I? Because I'm a very ambitious person. I'm a very ambitious person. I used to tell myself I have not told a proper Nigerian story if I don't make a movie around a certain icon that I admire, whether that icon is a female or male. How would he or she come across to me so that when I make a movie, I'll leave a legacy and say, okay, I've done something for myself. So how would I ever celebrate you if I want to make a movie about you? Because we're talking film talk here.
I know. This is a woman who constantly asks, if you listen to Khadija, I never say no to life. And that can mean and is that there is nothing impossible that I feel I cannot do. Nothing. that you put your mind to that you cannot do. There isn't anything that you were talking about just sharing. That's a book, a collection of my art. It's a book. I'm an author as well. And this is somebody who has become who she really is. That's who I am. People talk about being self-made, but usually they're talking about making money, about business. I am truly self-made. And as Khadija said, I walk the talk. I think women ought to know that there isn't anything they can put their minds in that they can't achieve. The only person stopping you is yourself. And I forget who
Khadija said it.
Yeah.
They said it.
There is nothing to fear but fear itself. And everything that I spew out like this, I believe them. I have seen them. I have lived them. So they're not cliches to me. They are real. Like when I said, "No, you know that you're you're the temple of the living God." I mean that. God lives in a woman, not in a religious sense. I'm not talking about churches. I'm talking about spirituality. We are spirit. We're not this body. So as a woman, as a person, I'm not going to let anybody be going up and down me because of what? Because I have hunger. Where is discipline? Where is integrity? Nobody gives you these things. You take them, you build them brick by brick yourself. You put on the mirror, you look at yourself in the mirror. Do you like who is there? Not in an exhibitionist, self-satisfying, self-adulating sense. No, because when push comes to shove, we know who we are. You can't fool yourself. Are you real? Are you authentic? Because nobody can defeat your authentic self. So becoming who you are, brick by brick, it doesn't just happen. It's a commitment to it. It's a commitment, as I say, I'm committed to excellence. I've been all my life. Now, if you can't make a movie about somebody committed to excellence.
What movie are you making?
Because all that we're talking about integrity, you're talking about legacy, you're talking about role modeling, you're talking about telling people that your life is not a waste of time. Don't toy with it. Work on it. It doesn't happen. You cannot give what you don't have. Therefore, acquire worthwhile things and you will see. And you start step by step by step. So you know that if as a lawyer you want to have an Akintola practice, a big practice, you start from a little room, you build it up bit by bit by bit by bit. With each case, you're building an edifice. And you also know, I also know that I don't open my mouth and say anything because words are important. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was made flesh. So you become what you think, and you become what you say. And when you open your mouth, as I said, people know who you are. So that, I thank you all. Whoever has done this for me, I am lived in, as Khadija will probably know, I live in perpetual sense of gratitude because I haven't got an idea how it happened. I just lived, but I was lucky to choose the right path, not to be dazzled with all the dangling objects, the shiny objects, but to know that if you don't work for something, you can't get anything, and to know that you must know what you put your heart on. And contrary to what we think, we want to have money, but we don't want to invest. We want to eat cake, national cake. We don't want to bake it. How's that working out for all of us?
We are seeing the results now.
Exactly. So as you do individually, so you, and that is my responsibility. So I talk to people. Be careful and be mindful of the collective. The people around you are those who matter, not you. And don't believe your hype.
Which is what we sell these days out there. We sell hype.
Don't believe your hype. Because ultimately, this is how we build a life. This is how we build a country, communicating with one another, being accessible, not being big man that they can't see you, that you phone, and then when you come, you sit 2 hours in the reception, or you're doing an event, you invite the commissioner, and it keeps you waiting, and when it comes, it says it's the deputy. What the heck is the work, the thing they're doing? This is not for these people. If they don't go there to find out what they're thinking and see how they can incorporate that and help them and encourage them, because they're so big. You see a normal person, make him a minister, he start wearing big agbada, and he thinks they become masquerades. Anymore. They don't know anymore. They're too big for the real life. And look at what we have. We see the results around us of people who are not in touch with their own reality.
So much for the Nigerian. So much for the Nigerian movie producer to harvest. And if we have to talk about the Nigerian woman and women in general, and what we should do to harvest our sweet dewdrops to enrich our society, it's going to take 1,000 years, maybe a million years, because women are very complex. Women are very complex.
A very splendid thing. A very splendid thing is what I would call it.
That's why I was asking. That's why I was asking for the sweet Nigerian woman dewdrops. Unfortunately, prejudice came into my talk.
The thing that the sweet women are dropping sweet dews on you all the time. There isn't one particular one we can talk about. Women are confusing you with their dews. Without I don't want to be sounding. It's because it's not a gender war, because I do mean these things that I'm saying.
I know you believe in what you say. Well, it's been a very rich conversation talking to Dame Taiwo Ajai Lycett, a veteran artist, broadcaster, journalist, cosmetologist, counselor, and life coach, social commentator. In fact, she's doing just that. An educationist. All the two young women in this talk said they've learned so much, had so much education from Dame Ajai Lycett, and she's also an entrepreneur, an advertising and public relations consultant. I wish I could pick up money tomorrow. I'll do a movie around you, and I'm seeing you in the mood of Fela's mother, who used to sit Moloshenka and Fela himself at her footstool and taught them how to be activists. I've read a lot about that. So I know that there's so many Nigerian women out there that a movie producer can harvest. We have the activists who were there, in pre-independence time, post-independence. They fought for what we should have become as a people, as Nigerians. But all that curiosity to advance, just like you did, has been defeated because of the fact that, like you said, we've lost the essence of education. The essence of education is to open the mind to learn some more and grab some more, and be able to use those lessons, to advance whatever cause they believe in. And for me, you really made an impression. I'm so glad you came to this talk. I want to thank you so much, Dame Taiwo Ajai Lycett. I want to also thank Antonia for bearing in with what do they call it? Eyewitness accounts. I want to thank Khadija too for being an eyewitness, narrator. It's been so nice talking to you. I hope, like I said, I'll keep saying it. I hope I could pick up money. I'll do a movie around you. Yeah. So that has been Filmtalk.
If it's something you want to do, isn't that Khadija? Something you want to do, and you put your mind on it, you will achieve it.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah. So it's been Filmtalk. You work, don't wish. You wish it, yes, but I'm going to do. You say you're going to do it. Words are important. Words are powerful. Thank you. So it's been Filmtalk. Hold on, don't go yet. It's been Filmtalk, and from FilmLab Nigeria, we entertainment, from the Wazobia family. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. So, ma'am, I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you so much.